We did it. We actually did it. Bitcoin surpassed $20,000, 21, 22, 23, almost $24,000 at the time of recording this video. What is next for Bitcoin? Have you missed the boat, or is this just the beginning? This time actually is different. Hey guys, my name is Sheldon Evans. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, or if you've been around for a while, welcome back. Turn on notifications so that you don't miss these videos, as they are time sensitive, and as you know, YouTube sometimes filters or gatekeeps cryptocurrency videos, so make sure you turn on those notifications. As of right now, Bitcoin is sitting at $22,359. Is it going to keep going up, or is it going to crash down, and what does this mean for the market? Well, we've been waiting a very long time for this, since the peak in 2017 when we got to $20,000, and ever since then we've been in a bear market. This break today of $20,000 confirms that we are actually in a bull market now, and Bitcoin is on its run for the next all-time high, possibly 10 or 20x from where we are right now. That might sound insane, but Bitcoin can absolutely reach $2, $3, maybe even $4 or $500,000 in a bull market. As crazy as that sounds, it's absolutely possible, and this is why. If you purchased Bitcoin at literally any time in history, you would be in profit right now. As I've said in previous videos, that makes it the absolute best investment you could have ever made in the last decade. Now, what does this mean that we've reached the all-time high? Does it mean we're going to come crashing back down to $3,000 or $4,000 again? Are we going to go down to zero? What is going to happen? Well, this time is actually different. You'll often hear that people say, this time is different, this bull market is different, and it doesn't end up being different. People end up riding the parabolic wave all the way through the highs and back down into the lows, and either end up losing money or making very little profit. I feel that this market is going to be quite different, purely due to the fact of how much attention Bitcoin is getting right now. In 2017, in that bull run, we did have a lot of attention on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole, but nowhere near as much as we have right now. And we have institutional investment coming in. It's no longer your average retail investor that is investing in Bitcoin with the idea of making some quick profits. Bitcoin is getting massive buy-ins from huge institutions and hedge funds, with MicroStrategy putting in over $400 million buys at a single time into Bitcoin. By having these institutions invest in Bitcoin, it's not only going to stabilize the price and cause it to rise to all-time new highs that we can't even imagine, but it's also going to curb the downside so that we don't crash down to the absolute bottom. These institutions and these huge hedge funds and institutional buyers are going to curb that downside and keep us in a nice level for the next bull run. As we know, the cryptocurrency market, or Bitcoin specifically, follows a cycle. And how do we know this, and why does it follow this cycle? Well, every 4 years, Bitcoin gets a halving, which means that the rewards per Bitcoin block that is mined get halved. So from 12.5 Bitcoin per block previously to 6.25 Bitcoin per block now. That means that every 4 years, every block the miners mine, they get paid half as much in Bitcoin. Now, what does this mean for the price? Well, that simply means that the selling pressure gets halved, or at least decreased by a large amount, because majority of the selling pressure in Bitcoin comes from miners. They are the miners powering the network and acquiring Bitcoin to sell on the free market to make a quick profit. Yes, some of those miners will be holding their Bitcoin long term, but majority of them are going to be selling that Bitcoin to make a profit in order to make that mining business sustainable. But with these mining rewards halving every 4 years, Bitcoin is being seen more and more as a long-term store of value. You see, when mining no longer becomes profitable, Bitcoin is purely going to be a very limited, scarce asset. And the only way to acquire Bitcoin is by buying it or pumping new money into the market, at which case the price of Bitcoin will absolutely skyrocket, as it has been right now. So let's take a look at the Bitcoin price. Currently $22,300. We have broken that 20,000 psychological level, all-time high. As I've said before, when we break these levels, the moves are going to be big, either in the upside or the downside. So when we did come down and test the 17,700, maybe even 17,600 level, we did touch that trend line, but then bounce back up off of it. If we did break through that, we would have seen a large move to the downside. And I do expect us to do that if we come down from this high that we're at right now, touch this trend line, and if we break through it, I'd expect a move deep down into the downside, maybe back down to the 17, even 15,300 or 400 level. Now, that is purely a prediction. We might not even come back down to that level. It might stabilize around the $20,000 to $25,000 level for a couple weeks, or we could go higher. At this point, it's pure speculation. There's no real fundamental or technical analysis that we can perform on a parabolic move like this. When the market moves parabolically, it's almost all based on psychology. And that's what I want to talk about next, is the psychology of the market. Bitcoin could absolutely hit $200,000 or more by the end of 2021. And that might sound insane and like a huge psychological barrier. That's what I'm talking about. $200,000 per Bitcoin, that is too expensive. That is the idea of the average investor, or the average person, that $200,000 for a single digital Bitcoin is not worth it. But the thing is, once we start getting used to the price of Bitcoin being that high, it'll stabilize and it'll even out. There was a point when $1,000 Bitcoin was too much. And when we moved from $1,000 to $20,000 in the last bull market, we did a 20x move. People got comfortable with Bitcoin being that expensive, which is where we are right now. We're in the pre-reaccumulation phase before we reach the next all-time high. At this point, everyone is trying to get their buyers in as early as possible before Bitcoin makes the next absolute parabolic move to 200, 300, maybe even more $1,000. And you can see how early on in the market we are if we take a look at Google Trends and see how many people are searching for Bitcoin right now. So over the past 5 years, we can see the search trend of Bitcoin, the search term, and it used to be very, very low. And at the peak of the 2017 bull market, it hit 100. And at that price, at that point, Bitcoin was $20,000. Right now, Bitcoin is more than $20,000. We're at $22,385 as of the second. We're only at 11. We're 1/10 from where we were in the previous bull market. That could give us a 10x rise purely in Google search volume. Bitcoin is not getting as much attention as it was in the 2017 bull run yet. We're 10 times less. That gives us a 10x move, not just in price, but popularity and the psychological idea behind Bitcoin being that expensive. Right now, it seems that everyone is talking about Bitcoin because we just broke that all-time high, but it has just begun. This is the absolute beginning of the bull market. Get ready, get your rocket boots on. We're just getting started. This bull run, we could easily see a 10x move from $20,000 to $200,000. And the reason why I say that is the conservative or the low move is that as the cycles lengthen, or as time goes by, the cycles lengthen and they become smaller on the upside and on the downside. Like I've said before, when institutional money is investing into these markets, they will curb the upside and the downside. When a company like MicroStrategy invests almost $1 billion or even more into Bitcoin, they're going to be very careful with protecting their downside. They don't want to be losing 80% of the value of the money that they put into Bitcoin or into these digital assets. So once that starts happening, once more and more institutions start investing into the space, that's going to curb the downside and protect us from hitting rock bottom. Now, the thing is with this 2020 to 2021, possibly longer bull run, is that this time it is actually different because of what I've spoken about before, the institutional investment and media attention that we're getting on Bitcoin right now. As you can see, institutional investment in the space is at an all-time high. There's little to no mainstream media attention catapulting the price at this time. Central banks and governments are starting to see the writing on the wall, and retail investors in emerging markets are investing in what they hope is a revolution. When governments and when mainstream starts investing in these digital speculative assets, it gives it authority. It actually gives it value and a base or a ground to work from. We're actually making Bitcoin real. Yes, to us in the crypto market and in the crypto space, Bitcoin has been real all along, and we've understood the tech, the science, and why we invested into it. But to get everybody, to get the entire world invested into this and understanding its true value, it's going to take mass media attention and mass institutional investment into cryptocurrencies. You see, Bitcoin would already be at $200,000, $300,000, even $400,000 right now if these institutions were investing directly into Bitcoin by doing market buys or spot buys. But most of these institutional investments right now are placed on OTC trades or over-the-counter trades, meaning that they find someone, there is a broker that finds someone who's willing to sell 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, however much Bitcoin, and they link them up directly with a buyer who's willing to invest that amount of money into Bitcoin. Now, what that does is it doesn't affect the price of the market as much as it would if that person or if that institution invested in the market directly with a direct buy. Now, when these OTC trades start drying up and people are less willing to sell their Bitcoin or sell large amounts of Bitcoin, these institutions and large companies are going to be forced to market buy cryptocurrency and market buy Bitcoin, which is going to push the price up to astronomical levels. A $500 million buy right now, like MicroStrategy has just done, could easily push the price past $50,000. But because we're doing these OTC trades, the price doesn't move. It doesn't move at all. And often these OTC trades can't even be fully fulfilled. So what ends up happening is bots are developed in the market to constantly buy the small dips as Bitcoin dips down, and they fill those dips very quickly with these robots. So that is why I also believe that we're protected to the downside, because when these institutions want to make these large buys, they'll do them over a large period of time, so that every time Bitcoin drops a little bit, the bots will automatically buy a small bit of Bitcoin in order to eventually fill out that full order that the institution would like. Now, what I actually want to talk about today is not in fact Bitcoin, but the other coins on the market, altcoins, Ethereum, everything out there besides Bitcoin. Why? Because you can obviously make money with Bitcoin. If you invest right now or any time in history, you would be in profit right now. And if you're willing to invest your money and play a safe trade, invest into Bitcoin and hold it, you are almost guaranteed some sort of return on your money. Maybe a 10x in a bull market, maybe a 20, even 50x in a bull market. Who knows? It's very difficult to predict. But what we do know is that the altcoins and Ethereum will follow that and grow at an exponential rate to Bitcoin. Bitcoin grows at an exponential rate to the regular market, and altcoins grow at an exponential rate to Bitcoin. Now, when Bitcoin does a 10x move, we have altcoins doing 100x moves, 1000x moves. That is 1,000 times your investment. There is nowhere else that you can get those sort of gains. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Bitcoin is going to be a long-term hold position. I personally try and increase my Bitcoin position by making profits in alts and Ethereum. I will be releasing this in my Patreon, how my cryptocurrency portfolio is structured exactly, how much I allocate to which altcoin and how much I allocate to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you do want that, a link to that is in the description down below. But I can say that my main goal is obtaining as much Bitcoin as I can, because that is my long-term hodl position. Now, as you can see, in the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has done a 12% move and we're at $23,000 right now. But if we take a look at the other altcoins out there, we can see how massively they can move in a small amount of time. You'll know that I mentioned Coin in a previous video of mine. When I mentioned it, I told you to start DCAing from 10 cents. I mentioned this on my Patreon as well. And as you can see, we hit the 10-cent mark, or 11 cents, and pumped all the way to 24 cents. We did 100% in 24 hours. That is insane. Now, this is just one day that these alts can move. This is small compared to what is coming in this bull market, when alts move 2, 3, 4, 500% in a week, in a couple days, maybe even hours. The thing is, altcoins, the reason they move so much is because they are smaller in market cap. So as you can see, coin right here is at an $8 million market cap. Now, for this coin to do a 10x, it needs to reach $80 million, which is still relatively small. Sub $100 million, $50 to $100 million, still has a lot of room for the upside. And I've spoken about many of these cryptos on my channel before. But for a cryptocurrency to then move from $100 or $80 million to do a 10x move to that, that's a huge move. For $100 million to do a 100x move from that, it'll have to reach $10 billion. That is a massive, massive move. And as you can see, the top cryptocurrencies right now, only the top 4 are above $10 billion. So in order for a cryptocurrency to move from a market cap of $100 million, it's going to have to really, really perform well. So what I do is I look for micro cap gems, not coins, not shit coins that we talk about that have absolutely no value and are purely based on speculative ideas, but I'm talking about coins that truly do have good fundamentals and a good team, good code, and a good product to work with. Most importantly, good marketing. As we've seen many times before, marketing is so incredibly important in this space. Bitcoin doesn't really have that much of a use case, as we've seen many times before. It is now a store of value. So people are simply investing their money on a speculative basis in the hopes that their money will grow. They're not actually aiming to use Bitcoin as a transactional cryptocurrency. Yet it is the biggest cryptocurrency out there. It has the biggest market cap and will continue to do that in the future. So when you're looking at a cryptocurrency to invest in, especially a micro cap or a smaller low cap gem, you're looking for something that has a small market cap, but also can provide value and has good marketing or a good team behind it. Psychology, community, sentiment, and marketing is what drives price in this market. So overall, what does this mean? Well, if you're looking for a safe trade, if you're looking for something to put your money in, you don't want to know too much about cryptocurrency, or it doesn't interest you that much, it's simply a long-term hold or investment vehicle for you, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be your bad boys. They are going to be the leaders in the space. Perhaps some others will come around, but these will stick around for a long time, purely because, as I've said, Bitcoin does have this huge market sentiment behind it. Ethereum, most of the cryptocurrencies out there, most of the market is built on top of Ethereum. So Ethereum is our base layer, Ethereum is keeping us safe, and Ethereum is providing structure and the network for most cryptocurrencies. Yes, there are others coming out there like Zilliqa and Polkadot that are aiming to take on Ethereum. They will definitely take some of that market share away from Ethereum, perhaps even surpass it. But these are around to stay. They are not going to go anywhere. Most of the market is already invested in them. But if you want insane gains and you're willing to risk some of your investment capital, or you have some money to throw away, look at low cap altcoin gems. I mentioned these in my Patreon and I mentioned them on Twitter. So if you're not following me yet there, go and do that. I will be sharing some of my favorite picks in upcoming videos. I do have previous videos sharing what I do believe is going to explode in 2021. But I do encourage you to test the market and test these low cap altcoin gems and make some crazy gains. You can invest $1,000 in a low cap gem and do a 100x gain, or you can invest $1,000 in Bitcoin and do a 10x gain. So if your biggest holding is Bitcoin, you don't have to invest nearly as much in the altcoins in order to make the same amount of profit. What that means is if you have majority of your portfolio in Bitcoin, allocate a small percentage to altcoins that you believe will do well in the market. Now, I'm not saying going on some random person's suggestion of which altcoin to buy. I truly do believe in doing your own research, and that's what I'm trying to do with this channel, is teach you how to do your own research, where to look, what to look for. So if you're not subscribed yet, please do hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the future when we reach all-time highs. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.